Ukraine launches 361 drone megastrike that destroys Russia's vital Kirishi oil refinery in $20 billion blow. In a single night, Ukraine executed one of the most daring and technologically sophisticated long-range attacks of the entire war. An operation so vast and coordinated that Russian air defenses never stood a chance. What began as a silent launch of hundreds of drones soon evolved into a multi-layered assault that tore straight through Russia's most advanced radars, electronic warfare systems, and interceptor networks. These drones, built from inexpensive parts, yet guided with extraordinary precision, traveled nearly 1,000 kilometers to strike one of Russia's most valuable energy assets. By the time the attack was over, a facility responsible for a massive share of Russia's oil production was reduced to a catastrophic inferno, costing more than $20 billion. What unfolded next shocked even military analysts who had believed such a strike was impossible. Today at 1:47 a.m., Ukrainian long-range operators prepared one of the most complex deep strike missions of the entire war. Their target was the Kirishi oil refinery, a colossal industrial complex nearly 1,000 kilometers inside Russia. The facility normally processed 6% of Russia's total refining capacity, generating billions in revenue. Within roughly 3 hours, output would be driven to zero, and Russia would face multi-billion-dollar losses were likely due to direct damage and cascading disruption. At 2 a.m., the first FP-1 drone accelerated down its rail, lifting off at 80 km per h before banking northeast toward Russia. Every 15 seconds, another followed, each one guided by night vision operators, already speeding away through dark forest roads, abandoning the now empty launch site to inevitable Russian counterstrikes. Drones rose from concealed bunker hatches in Sumy farm fields, from disguised highway repair trucks near Chernihiv, and from factory rooftops in Kharkiv. A total of 361 drones were in the air, all perfectly timed. What made the coordination remarkable was that the Kirishi strike package launched last, despite having the farthest to travel. Its FP-1S flew at 200 km per h, burning more fuel to compensate for distance, while drones bound for closer Russian cities cruised at a slower 150 km per h. Backward timing ensured every drone, destined for Moscow, Bryansk, Smolensk, Ryazan, and Kirishi, would arrive within the same 20-minute impact window. Russian air defense commanders faced simultaneous threats with limited prioritization options on which site was the real target. A wrong prioritization risked severe economic consequences at each facility. Within seconds, Russian radar stations in occupied territory detected the launches. Their sensors, capable of tracking baseball-sized objects at 60 kilometers, lit up with dozens of ascending contacts. The data streamed instantly into Russia's integrated air defense network as operators in Moscow scrambled to calculate intercepts. Fighter pilots ran toward their aircraft. Yet the fatal flaw in Russia's doctrine revealed itself immediately. The nation had built its air defense architecture to stop American stealth bombers, not cheap drones. Their S-400 missiles cost over $5 million each. Their interceptors burned tens of thousands of dollars in fuel per sortie, and the refinery they were defending was worth billions. The math was impossible. Destroying a $50,000 FP-1 with a $5 million missile was already a losing trade. Letting it through risked catastrophic economic loss. The FP-1s, meanwhile, navigated with systems nearly impossible to spoof. Dual GPS GLONASS receivers cross-checked both satellite constellations. If one lied, the other exposed the deception. Even when both were jammed, each FP-1 dropped to terrain contour navigation, comparing its radar altimeter data to stored topographic maps. Powered by a $500 Chinese two-stroke engine producing 6.5 horsepower, the drone could travel 1,600 kilometers on regular gasoline. Its warhead, however, was purely military. 80 kilograms of tetryl explosive, encased in steel pellets, capable of punching through concrete. By 2:15 a.m., all strike packages merged into a single vast swarm. Russian radar screens displayed 361 inbound threats. The question was no longer detection. it was survival. At 2:45 a.m., the Kirishi package neared the Belarusian border. The main swarm pressed east toward Moscow, while the 35-drone Kirishi group peeled north. This was the mission's most vulnerable moment. If detected, isolated from the main mass, they would be easy targets. Immediately, they formed Ukraine's standard ladder formation. High-flying Mujin 5 decoys climbed to 3,000 meters, transmitting on known frequencies and carrying radar reflectors to appear massive. Their role was to die first, drawing high-value interceptor shots. Mid-altitude UJ-22S cruised at 1,500 meters, drawing fire from shorter-range systems. The FP-1 strikers dropped to 50 meters, entering radar clutter where ground-based detection struggled. Each altitude layer defeated a separate Russian defense band. A missile aimed at a decoy at 3,000 meters could not redirect downward to hit a drone at 50 meters. Engagement geometry limited interceptor flexibility. Belarusian MiG-31 interceptors scrambled, their enormous Zaslon M radars optimized for spotting bombers at hundreds of kilometers. Yet such precision became a weakness. Trying to track small drones at treetop level was like using a sniper scope to swat insects. The fighters fixated on decoys, exactly as intended. While they chased shadows, the real strike group slipped through low. Ahead, however, waited the cheese grater, Russia's powerful 9S-19M2 radar near Tikhvin. At 4 a.m., the system began tracking the incoming drones. Its frequency hopping made it nearly unjammable, but Ukraine had discovered its flaw. Every 10 seconds, the radar paused for half a second to reset, half a second of total blindness. A high-altitude Mujin 5 deliberately revealed itself. The S-300 battery immediately fired a $3 million missile to destroy a $30,000 drone. In the 2 seconds before impact, the decoy transmitted the radar's timing pattern to the swarm. Its sacrifice gave the remaining drones the exact synchronization needed. When the radar entered its half-second blackout, the FP-1S descended to 10 meters, disappearing entirely. When the radar came back online, all that remained were echoes lost in ground clutter. They had passed the deadliest layer, but ahead lay Russia's massive Pol-21 electronic warfare belts. These systems mirror-conned GPS signals, recording and rebroadcasting them with delays, causing drones to drift off course. For 5 minutes, the FP-1S saw false positions, but their backup method, navigating by counting power line crossings, could not be spoofed. Each high-voltage corridor between the border and Kirishi served as a waypoint. 7 lines total. Some drones were pulled off course by mineral deposits, others followed the wrong grid toward Finland, but the lead drones remained on path. Now just 24 remained. By 6 a.m., the glow of the Kirishi refinery emerged through morning fog. 4 Pantsir batteries guarded the site. The remaining UJ-22S split into 5 groups. Their purpose was suicidal: force each Pantsir to expend its limited missile load. Each battery could track many targets, but engage only 4 at once. Once they fired, they were blind to new threats for 15 seconds, the exact window the FP-1S needed to slip through. 16 Pantsir missiles were launched, creating a 15-second dead time while missiles were in flight. Russian air defenses expended over $25 million worth of missiles and munitions in a significant number during these seconds. 12 UJ-22S were annihilated, but their sacrifice allowed the FP-1S to reach minimum engagement range. Pantsirs switched to 30mm cannons, firing tungsten-filled shells, but Ukrainian programmers had introduced random altitude shifts every 2 seconds. The fire control computers aimed at predicted positions that no longer matched reality. 3 FP-1S were shredded. 1 limped onward with half a wing. 6 remained. At 6:18 a.m., they crossed the refinery perimeter. Here, Russia unveiled its newest close-in weapon system, the Derevitsia PVO, armed with a 57mm autocannon firing programmable airburst shells. It was fielded to counter drone swarms. Its computer began constructing a 3-dimensional kill grid of tungsten spheres. But beneath 100 meters of altitude, refinery safety protocols overrode lethal force. A detonation too close could rupture volatile tanks. The system locked itself out. The first FP-1 was destroyed at 200 meters. The second slipped beneath the 100-meter cutoff. The PVO tracked it perfectly, but could not fire. Then the third. At 6:19 AM, the first FP-1 slammed into the CDU-100 unit. The explosion obliterated corroded supports and ruptured superheated crude pipelines. The pressure shock triggered secondary detonations across linked systems. Kirishi's infrastructure, already aging, cascaded into failure. Flames burst hundreds of meters high. 10 seconds later, the second FP-1 struck a storage tank 47. The tank's deteriorated vapor seal ignited instantly. The floating roof launched like a 50-ton projectile, landing on the administrative building. Over 80,000 barrels of product were exposed, fueling a firestorm. The third FP-1 hit the fractionator column, triggering a boiling liquid expanding vapor explosion. The column split apart. Its upper section launched nearly a kilometer. Shockwaves punctured multiple surrounding tanks. Fire suppression systems failed as pipes ruptured and pumps lost pressure. There was no stopping the chain reaction. By sunrise, the Kirishi Refinery, 6.4% of Russia's refining output, was collapsing in an inferno visible from orbit. Satellite images revealed total destruction of the CDU-100 catalytic cracking units and multiple storage blocks. Experts estimated 6 months minimum before partial capacity could resume, but full restoration, if ever, may cost over $20, $25 billion. Russia claimed complete interception. The towering smoke plume exposed the lie. Ukraine had delivered a strategic victory deep inside Russian territory, using cheap drones, clever engineering, and flawless execution to inflict one of the most expensive industrial losses of the entire war.